Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let's have some fun. Do you guys remember this guy? He was the Obama before Obama. Mr. Howard Dean.
We're going to come in third in Iowa. We would have given anything for that. And you know something? You know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah! We will not give up. We will not give up in New Hampshire. We will not give up in South Carolina. We will not give up in Arizona or New Mexico, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. We will not quit now or ever. We want our country back for ordinary Americans.
We will not quit now or ever. We want our country back for ordinary Americans. Pyaw! The pyaw heard around the world. The Dean scream. They even called it the Dean scream. Howard Dean somewhat lied in that statement. His campaign went down in flames after the pyaw incident. He looked unhinged. He looked like he was going to come off the rails. Man, looked like a maniac. And mostly all of the rhetoric and everything else that he was saying on the campaign that was getting the crowd fired up. We're going to Michigan and we're going to blah, blah. Yeah, that made him look like a maniac. And he became somewhat of a laughingstock and it crashed his campaign. I don't think Howard Dean went to all these states. The untold hero of that video, that's one of my favorite videos. Ted Cruz sitting under the Donald Trump sign. It's probably my favorite. Oh, but this is a close second. This is a close second. Oh, we're going to Michigan and California. We will not stop. You stop, dude. You stop. As Jimmy Dore said, you grew up and sold out. The Batman voice is the untold hero. If you notice, as he gets into it, he's like, we're going to California, we're going to Michigan, we're going to Washington, D.C. Like, he gets into it with the Batman voice. I am digging the Batman voice. I love Batman voices. Here's the thing. Just a piece of advice. After that, you need to leave the stage. Not for any particular bad reason. It's just your high note. You can't necessarily go higher than that. Once you do that, you've shot your load. It's time to say, okay, thank you to the audience and take a good night. Yeah, dude, you can't do that. That's frowned upon. You look like a maniac. And ultimately, your campaign cratered after that statement. So that guy who was, that guy with all that fire and drive, that guy's now a lobbyist. That guy grew up and sold out, as Jimmy Dore would say, and is now employed by the healthcare lobbying firm and opposes single payer. That's awesome. In addition to that, the reason why Howard Dean has stepped on my radar today is Howard Dean embraces Clinton's super PAC role, calls the left whiny. I'm not going to go through the entire article because the Observer can be somewhat heavy-handed in the way they give stories. And look, that's not just the Observer. Many of these places in general give story from a particular perspective. It's important to understand the perspective because that allows you to see what they're adding into it as opposed to just what's there. Former DNC chair Howard Dean has embraced his role of helping run Hillary Clinton's super PAC, Onward Together, by punching the left and insulting progressives. Here's the thing, dude. You lost 15 million people. That is not indicative of being together. That is the opposite of being together, in fact. On MSNBC's AM, Joy, Dean said They've always been a section of the left, which I call the whiny party. The party that doesn't really want to win. They just want to be pure. And if they go down swinging, that's fine. I find that statement to be amazing. And under normal circumstances, I just look at that stuff as being political jargon. But yeah, we should talk about this one. There's a breathtaking level of shame required to make that statement. You've heard me say in the past, politicians' superpower is shame, their ability to endure massive amounts of shame. The amount of shame that it takes to make that statement, particularly as a Democrat, would crush the spine of any ordinary human being. But politicians can do it with a smile. They can be on a television show that's seen by more than 3 people, and they can look them in the face, and they can say utterly ridiculous things. How are you a member of the Democratic Party? How do you lose that much? How do you lose that much? And say we're the section of the party. Hey, we're not part of your party, but we're the section of the party that don't want to win or don't care about winning. We just want to go down swinging. You've lost everything. You've given us over to maniacs. This is the most rabid bunch of Republicans that's ever been in the history of the country. And part of that reason is because you've moved so far to the right that the Republican Party just moved right along with you. You've given us over to maniacs. You've lost to reality show hosts. You've literally put a reality show host in as president based upon the behavior that you took in the primaries and based upon the way you ran your election. It is amazing to me that anybody could come out their face after losing to that degree. I hate to recount this again and sound like a broken record. You've lost like 1,000 legislative seats. The House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the presidency. You spent $21 million on the guy trying to make him look like a Republican, and they chose an actual Republican. That is your record of failure. That is your record of failure. It is a record of failure that is unbeknownst to man. There has never been a level of failure this bad. It is... Do you understand that a reality show host has his finger on the nuclear button? Do you get that? Do you get that in many respects, how you ran your campaigns, the things that you've said in your campaigns, the alienation, the arrogance, is in many respects the reason why she lost. Is in many respects the reason why she lost. Stupid shit like this is in part of the reason why she lost. Her being a horrible candidate is part of the reason why she lost. It had nothing to do with Russia. It had nothing to do with Comey. It had nothing to do with Bernie Sanders. It had nothing to do with anybody else other than her and the party. I'm just amazed by the statement. It's like, we're the adults in the room. Yes, we fail consecutively, all the time. We can't win at anything, but we're the adults in the room. How are you the adults in the room if you can't win anything? How? You're like the gambler who doesn't necessarily lose continuously chasing his money. You need to be escorted out the casino. You don't know what you're doing. You've lost everything. Do you get that? Do you understand the gravity of that? It's almost as if he doesn't fully understand the situation to which he's presented with. You've lost 15 million people. Are you saying that the 15 million people who left your party are whiny? Are whiny? Are those 15 million people whiny? You have a section of the country has nothing to do with your party that actually has values, that actually believe in things. Your amorphous sense of values that shift and shake depending upon who's putting money in your pocket. Those things aren't real. And those things have led your party to ruin. You cling to them like grim death because ultimately you don't want to give up the money that greases your pockets. But it's also responsible for your failure. The money that you take is inextricably linked to your failure. You may want to call us whiny. You may want to say that we don't necessarily want to win. But you guys are the actual, in fact, losers. You guys are the losers. The losers. Calling somebody else or saying somebody else don't want to win is a breathtaking statement to me, which is why I'm having this conversation. The Democratic Party exists as a platypus of sorts. Ultimately, they're at war with their own philosophical nature. They've decided that they want to take huge amounts of cash and yet still have some semblance of rhetoric that leads to this kind of idea of the left. Well, they're not the left anymore. They haven't been the left for a very long time. And they've so become indistinguishable from Republicans, meaning you've become so centrist that the line between you and your opponent is somewhat blurred. They know what they stand for. They have no idea what you stand for. I would wager you don't either. The question that's always presented to you, Howard Dean, is what do you stand for? What do you represent? And ultimately, if you're saying that the people with values, the people who actually stand for things and believe in things, the people who actually, historically, have pulled this country forward. Because understand, any change that's ever taken place for the positive has taken place from the left. It's taken place from the left. You can bitch and complain and moan about us all you want. Yes, we're the malcontents. We have this idea of the country can be, of what this country can be. It can be better than what this country is. You're in our way. You are in our way. Call us what you want. Cast us as you will. You are, matter of fact, losers. You're not the adults in the room. It's time to sit the hell down. Somebody needs to tap Howard Dean on the shoulder and tell him to take his hands off the dice. I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. Or, all right, everyone. I'll say everyone. Someone made the point is, hey, you always say guys. I don't mean anything by it. I mean, guys, it's just everybody. So, you may hear me say everyone sometimes. You may hear me say guys sometimes. I mean nothing by it. All right, everyone. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through Patreon. Thanks, guys.